So, Trump deported uh, hundreds of, Venezuelans, but did he send them back to Venezuela? No, no. He sent them to El Salvador to be in one of El Salvador's mega prisons. Fuck it, based El Salvador. Ignore the fact that AP just refers to them as immigrants. They're not just immigrants, they're illegals. Fucking gay ass, liberal, lib shit, Associated Press. But yeah, the AP is not happy about this. They do it over here too. Where was it? Yeah, what to know about El Salvador's mega prison after Trump sent hundreds of immigrants there. They won't call them illegals because AP is captured. But this is also coming, this is also happening as a judge, multiple judges probably, but one in particular, is trying to halt these deportations. Like, these aren't American citizens. Why would judges have the authority to halt the deportations of illegals? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. But let's read on, shall we? Oh, look at that. Nicholas Ricard Nicholas Riccardi and Regina Garcia Cano, whatever. Yep, two authors on this one because, of course, the Trump administration has transferred hundreds of immigrants to El Salvador, even as a federal judge issued an order temporarily barring the deportations under an 18th century wartime declaration targeting Venezuelan gang members, officials said Sunday. Flights were in the air at the time of the ruling. That's why they couldn't stop this one. So, the U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg issued an order Saturday temporarily blocking the deportations, but lawyers told him there were already two planes with immigrants in the air, one headed for El Salvador, the other for Honduras. Boasberg verbally ordered the planes be turned around, but they apparently were not, and he did not include the directive in his written order. So, fuck you, asshole, shit lib judge. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, in a statement Sunday, responded to speculation about whether the administration was flouting court orders. "Quote: The administration did not refuse to comply with a court order. The order, which had no lawful basis, was issued after terrorists, Tren de Aragua aliens, had already been removed from U.S. territory." So yeah, out of your jurisdiction, buddy. The acronym refers to Tren de Aragua, the Tren de Aragua gang, which Trump targeted in his unusual proclamation that was released Saturday. In a court filing Sunday, the Department of Justice, which has appealed Boasberg's decision, said it would not use the Trump proclamation he blocked for further deportations if his decision is not overturned. Trump sidestepped a question over whether his administration violated a court order while speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One on Sunday evening. Quote, "I don't know. You have to speak with the lawyers about that," he said. Although he defined the deportations, "I can tell you this. They were bad people. Very bad people. The worst." About invoking presidential powers used in wartime, Trump said this is a time of war, describing the influx of criminal migrants as an invasion. Trump's allies were gleeful over the results. Quote, "Oopsie, too late." Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele. Bukele's fucking based. I love this guy. Who agreed to house about 300 immigrants for a year at a cost of $6 million in his country's prisons, wrote on the social media site X above an article about Boasberg's ruling. That post was recirculated by White House Communications Director Steve Chung. Oopsie, too late. Fucking Bukele. Bukele loves nothing more than putting motherfuckers in prison. Secretary of State, oh, fuck off. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who negotiated an earlier deal with Bukele to house immigrants, illegals. Damn it. I'm reading and I'm trying to not play their fucking word games. Posted on the site, we sent over 250 alien enemy members of Tren de Aragua, which El Salvador has agreed to hold in their very good jails at a fair price that will also save our taxpayer dollars. Steve Valdek, a professor at the Georgetown University Law Center, said that Boasberg's verbal directive to turn around the planes was not technically part of his final order, but that the Trump administration clearly violated the spirit of it. Well, no, they were already out of the country. And if I was Trump, I wouldn't have turned the planes around either. Quote, this just incentivizes future courts to be hyper specific in their orders and not give the government any wiggle room, Valdek said. The immigrants were deported after Trump's declaration of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which has been used only 3 times in U.S. history. I say that, southern border crossings by, illegal Central and South American gangs, criminal gangs, is as good a use as any of that kind of presidential power because these people are fucking terrible. Look, I don't want us to be involved in wars in the Middle East. I would 100% be okay with us fucking up Central America. Like, because that's the real problem that we need to deal with right now. These criminal gangs, they're smuggling fentanyl into our country. They're kidnapping people. They're murdering people. They're taking over, apartment buildings. And these people, they need to go. And their leaders need to be killed and destroyed. Or, I don't know. This is YouTube. Am I even allowed to say that? I don't really care. The YouTube robot can flag me for whatever. The law, invoked during the War of 1812 and World War I and II, requires a president to declare the United States is at war, giving him extraordinary powers to detain or remove foreigners who otherwise would have protections under immigration or criminal laws. But these people aren't immigrants, they're illegals. Simple as. It was last used to justify the detention of Japanese American civilians during World War II. That's not a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing, but I do think it's being used correctly here. We are being invaded. Venezuela's government, in a statement Saturday, rejected the use of Trump's declaration of the law, characterizing it as evocative of the darkest episodes in human history, from slavery to the horror of the Nazi concentration camps. Fuck you, Maduro. Fuck you, you commie piece of shit. Like, your people fucking starved to death, and you want to sit there and talk shit about us deporting your illegals? Fuck off. Tren de Aragua originated in an infamously lawless prison in the central state of Aragua, and accompanied an exodus of millions of Venezuelans, overwhelming majority of whom were seeking better living conditions after their nation's economy came undone during the past decade. Trump seized on the gang during his campaign to paint misleading pictures of communities that he contended were taken over by what were actually a handful of lawbreakers. No, AP, no. It was not just a handful of lawbreakers. It takes more than a handful of lawbreakers to take over an entire apartment complex. The Trump administration has not identified the immigrants deported, provided any evidence that they are in fact members of Tren de Aragua or that they committed any crimes in the United States. The fact that they're here illegally is a crime. Simple as. It also sent 2 top members of the Salvadoran MS-13 gang to El Salvador who had been arrested in the United States. Good. Good. Get these people out. Video released by El Salvador's government Sunday showed men exiting airplanes onto an airport tarmac lined by officers in riot gear. The men, who had their hands and ankles shackled, struggled to walk as officers pushed their heads down to have them bend down at the waist. The video also showed the men being transported to prison in a large convoy of buses guarded by police and military vehicles and at least 1 helicopter. The men were shown kneeling on the ground as their heads were shaved before they climbed into the prison's all-white uniform. Changed, not climbed. Before they changed into the prison's all-white uniform. Knee-length shorts, t-shirts, socks, and rubber clogs, and placed in cells. Good. There's some of that up here. Yep, look at it. Yeah. The immigrants were taken to the notorious CECOT facility, the centerpiece of Bukele's push to pacify his once violence-racked country through police measures and limits on basic rights. What basic rights have been violated in El Salvador? Somebody's going to have to, yeah, the libertarian in me goes, okay, like, if you're taking, like, a 15-year-old kid who's just selling weed to his friends and putting him in a prison with hardened criminals, that's probably not a good thing. But, like, let's be real here. El Salvador was a shithole. A shithole. Okay? There's nothing good about living in El Salvador. The Trump administration said the president actually signed the proclamation contending Tren de Aragua was invading the United States on Friday night, but didn't announce it until Saturday afternoon. Immigration lawyers said that late Friday they noticed Venezuelans who otherwise couldn't be deported under immigration law being moved to Texas for deportation flights. They began to file lawsuits to halt the transfers. This is the problem with this article is they won't differentiate between illegals and legals, so you can't really, you don't really know. Did any legal immigrants get caught up in this? I doubt it. It's possible. Quote, basically, any Venezuelan citizen in the U.S. may be removed on pretext of belonging to Tren de Aragua with no chance at defense. Adam Isaacson of the Washington Office for Latin America, a human rights group, warned on X. I don't think it's that simple. I'm pretty sure legal immigrants, are going to be fine. Like, I'm pretty sure that, like, Myron Gaines' girlfriend, fucking, the hell's her name? Angie's probably not going to get deported. She's probably not going to get caught up in this. The litigation that led to the hold on deportations was filed on behalf of 5 Venezuelans held in Texas, whose lawyers said were concerned they'd be falsely accused of being members of the gang. Once the act is invoked, they warned, Trump could simply declare anyone a Tren de Aragua member and remove them from the country. But he's not done that. Boasberg barred those Venezuelan deportations Saturday morning when the suit was filed, but only broadened it to all people in federal custody who could be targeted by the act after his afternoon hearing. He noted that the law has never been used outside of a congressionally declared war and that plaintiffs may successfully argue Trump exceeded his legal authority in invoking it. But we're just going to sit here and pretend like it's okay whenever Democrats... See, this is the thing. Let's go ahead and say that desperate times call for desperate measures. And I have said this before, I am an ends justify the means type of guy. Within reason, of course. But, like, in a lot of cases, in most cases probably, ends tend to justify means. And, like, we've lived in a country where Democrats flagrantly skirt the law all they want to. They break the law constantly. It's none of these activist judges ever have a fucking thing to say about any of this shit whenever it happens under Biden. Biden can just open up the border and let illegals just flood in the country using executive power. And where was this Boasberg motherfucker? What did he have to say back then? Nothing? No, not a goddamn thing. Where was I? The bar on deportation stands for up to 14 days, and the immigrants will remain in federal custody during that time. Boasberg has scheduled a hearing Friday to hear additional arguments in the case. He said he had to act because the immigrants whose deportations may actually violate the U.S. Constitution deserved a chance to have their pleas heard in court. Quote, once they're out of the country, Boasberg said, there's little I could do. Good. You are a American judge. You have authority in American courts over American citizens. These people are not citizens, and they're not even like they're not even legal residents. They're illegals. And we want them gone. It's really that simple. All right? Americans, we are sick and fucking tired of our country being a dumping ground for the bottom of the barrel of every Central and South American country. And that's what we are right now. And that's what we have been in the past. No more. My only fucking complaint right now about the Trump administration and all this is he's not deporting enough people. I want 1 million people deported by the end of his first term. I would consider that I would consider that a good start. Or not his first term, the first year in this term. I would want by the end of the first year of this term, I want 1 million people deported. That would be a damn good start. 4 million people deported by the end of his current term. And if JD Vance runs and wins like I think he's going to in 2028, I hope he carries on. Because this shit is over. Done with it. Like, sub, comment, follow the links, follow me on X, throw me a bone.